is just going to be a very short, well, hopefully short-ish podcast to explore some of the ideas related to not self in Buddhism through a short sutta, and there'll be other podcasts that explore the idea more fully on here eventually. I just wanted today to talk briefly about a sutta in the Pali Canon that might be relevant for some of the work that we've got coming up on our Buddhism module, and for anybody else that's vaguely interested. The Ananda Sutta, which crops up in the Samyutta Nikaya, it has a very annoyed, I'd have thought, character going to talk to the Buddha to ask him about whether or not there is a self. And normally in Buddhism we teach or examine the teaching of not self and say there is no permanent self. And you might, from reading this, think, should we? Is that right? Actually, I think this doesn't conflict the idea of not self, but it is an attempt to say that not self doesn't mean complete nothingness and destruction. There isn't a sense of continuity over time and between lives. Let's have a look though. Clearly this is another sutta that we find on access to insight. There's a translation there. You can also go and read the Pali, should you be interested. It's page 400 of the PTS edition, so kind of here. And this is the relevant bit particularly. I'm talking about self and not self. Anyway, should that interest you. This features the wanderer, the Sramana Brahmin, the wandering renunciant character, who is, you can find in the original, called Vashgota, or Vashgota. It says, then the wanderer, Vashgota, went to the Blessed One, and on arrival, exchanged courteous greetings with him. After an exchange of friendly greetings and courtesies, he sat down, as is normal, to one side. As he was sitting there, he asked the Blessed One, the Buddha, now then, Venerable Gautama, is there a self? When this was said, the Blessed One was silent. Then there is no self. A second time, the Blessed One was silent. Then, Vashgota, the wanderer, got up from his seat and left. If I was Vashgota, I'd have left too. It seems to our practice is very rude. He comes along and asks the Buddha a perfectly good question, it seems. No answer. Oh well, it must be the opposite. No answer. Not long after Vashgota, the wanderer, had left, Venerable Ananda said to the Blessed One, why, Lord, did the Blessed One not answer when I asked the question about Vashgota the wanderer? He says, Ananda, if I, being asked by Vashgota the wanderer if there is a self, were to answer that there is a self, that would be confirming with those Brahmins and contemplatives, that's the original Brahmin Shravana, those Brahmins and contemplatives who are exponents of eternalism, the view that there is an eternal, unchanging soul. If I, being asked by Vashgota the wanderer if there is no self, were to answer there is no self, that would be conforming with those Brahmins and contemplatives who are exponents of annihilationism, the view that death is the annihilation of consciousness. If I, being asked by Vashgota the wanderer if there is a self, were to answer there is, would that be in keeping with the arising of knowledge, that all phenomena are not self? No, Lord. And if I, being asked by Vashgota the wanderer if there is no self, were to answer there is no self, the bewildered Vashgota would become even more bewildered. Does the self I used to have now not exist? So it's an attempt to spare Vashgota from confusion, really. And interesting, the denial of there being no self doesn't necessarily change the Buddhist view that all phenomena are not self. So the Buddha seems to want to maintain this line that all phenomena are not self. But that doesn't mean there isn't a temporary self, a temporary continuity, a packaged aspect of phenomena that goes on. The self isn't completely annihilated at one point. There isn't just nothing there. And yet there isn't the atta, the atman of Hindu thought there at all. So the Buddha avoids answering to avoid confirming confusion or adding to confusion. He is neither an eternalist nor annihilationist. We haven't got something in us which is permanent, which goes on. Likewise, we are not annihilated at death. There is some continuity over time. The self I used to have kind of exists now, and that was the cause and is transformed into the self I am now. And that happens throughout lives and across lives and within the same life for the Buddha. So I personally think that by saying that we don't have a self, and refusing to condemn that we don't have a self, he says we have something else. We have a bundle of phenomena that are each not self, that temporarily are packaged together and have a thread of continuity. That's not the same thing as saying we have a self in itself.